Making money is usually the easy part. It's the keeping the money that's the hard part.
Yes.
And the answer to keeping the money is in the books that you're avoiding, the books that you delegated, the books you don't want to look at. Here's how much you're making. Here's how much you're spending. Here's where you're spending it. And then if I can get you through those 3 parts of your money, then I can actually show you how to keep more of it, right? Like, because now you got over the fear. The place that I start when somebody thinks it's too big or they're too far behind is exactly where you are. Budgets are less sexy than bookkeeping. And if you could see my face right now, listeners, I just cringed when I said it. Budgets can actually be super fun because they give you permission to spend money. I tell my money where to go instead of wondering where it went. If your accountant is talking over your head, it is the wrong accountant.
Welcome back to the Built by Me podcast. Today's guest is very special. Her name is Meaghan Likes from Meaghan Likes Accounting. Meaghan's superpower is taking people's fear out of their finances. She owns approximately 7 businesses in Northern California. And while you wouldn't guess it from her personality, her day job is actually working as a CPA. She's passionate about educating and empowering other business owners across the world by teaching them how to find financial freedom in their own lives. She's known as a disruptor in the accounting industry, and her claim to fame is showing small business owners how to do their own bookkeeping correctly in less than 1 hour per month. No accounting knowledge or experience required. She teaches business owners smarter ways to make money, save money, and will inspire you to give back in meaningful ways. So without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Are we good? Are we live? Yeah? All right.
Okay. Meaghan, thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited to have you on. So listeners listening, welcome back to the Built by Me podcast. I'm Taina.
I'm Mo.
And we're so excited to have a very special guest with us. Meaghan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Meaghan Likes. I'm a CPA based out of Northern California, and I'm a longtime Nice Job user, and I'm so excited to be back on the podcast and to meet both of you. And we're coming live from the Huge convention this weekend, so that's been kind of fun. Lots of good energy around us right now.
Yes, we have a different environment. We're in a new booth, new chairs.
It's busy in here. You can probably hear all the noise.
Chairs for the listeners. If we sound relaxed, we are. It's great.
Try not to lean back. Don't get too comfortable.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a nap later.
Yeah, exactly. Take a nap in between guests.
Great.
Perfect. I love that.
Awesome.
Can you share your journey into accounting, specifically for home services, and what drew you to this role?
Yeah, absolutely. So I married the love of my life in 2010, and he was a window cleaner, like a very old school traditional window cleaner. Yeah. And he had started cleaning windows the first year we met. So in 2006, 2007, he started cleaning windows, and he loved it. And he came to me in 2008, and he said, I want to start a window cleaning business. And I said, absolutely not. Like, we're not starting a window cleaning business. We are W-2 employees. We get regular paychecks. My parents they'd failed in business many times when I was growing up. And I remember how hard and traumatic it was to make your own money and save your own money and have enough money.
Right.
And so when Jeff wanted to do this window cleaning thing, I was like, no. And he just kept being like, no, this is there's no window cleaners in our area. This is a good idea. We should do it. And so we bought a book, and it was how to start a window cleaning business. And I was working as a bookkeeper back then. I'd been a bookkeeper since 2003. I paid my way through school doing bookkeeping, and I was mostly doing bookkeeping for rich families, doctors, and helping kids with figuring out their finances. That was kind of what I was doing for bookkeeping. And so we started the business, and it turns out Jeff is a really good window cleaner, but he was not a good businessman. And the money did not come naturally to him. Leadership did not come naturally to him.
Right.
That he was good at his trade, which I think is so common around business owners. Fast forward 10 years, not quite 10 years, 9 years later, 10 years, 2017, I was still a traditional CPA. I had a CPA job. I had my W-2 paycheck. We had our health insurance. We had all of our benefits. Mm-hmm. And our business was just booming. We were doubling every year. Wow. And Jeff was needing more and more help with the business side of the business.
Right.
And help leveling him up as a leader and as a teacher and all of these skills that he had to develop in the window cleaning business. And so I said, well, I think it's time. And so I jumped and I left my CPA job And I was like a little bit of a feminist, and I didn't want to go work for my husband because I still didn't call it ours. I called it, it's called Jeff Likes Clean Windows. Like not Meaghan Likes Clean Windows, not Jeff and Meaghan Likes Clean Windows.
Sounds like we need a rebrand.
I know. That is the rebranded name. But I was like nervous. And so I was like, well, what I know is accounting, and I know how to run a business. So I'm going to go open an accounting business. Yeah. And I'm going to be different. That's what I said back then. And so back then I was a tax accountant, and I was like, I'm going to be a tax accountant that like helps business owners with taxes.
Genius.
And I failed like 4 times in that business, Likes accounting. And I keep rebirthing myself. And I basically come back to the Jeffs of the world. There are 32 million Jeffs out there. You might be one of them, listener, who's really good at the thing you do. Yeah. And money is really hard for you, or it's really scary for you, or it doesn't come naturally to you. So Likes Accounting is now, we say in our 4th version 4.0. Yeah. And what we do is we help people like Jeff see the story their numbers are trying to tell them. And it's so much more than bookkeeping. It's like understanding, like at a fundamental level, that this is your money and nobody's going to care about it like you do. Nobody's going to make more of it for you. Nobody's going to save more of it for you. Like we can't actually abdicate from that responsibility as an owner. And so with Jeff, like he did his own books that whole time. My job was just to coach him and like praise him and like cheerlead him. And so now at Likes Accounting, we get to do that for hundreds of business owners all over the United States. We do virtual bookkeeping and CFO services. And I get to talk to cool people like you at trade shows and spread this mission that like making money is usually the easy part. It's the keeping the money that's the hard part. Yes. And the answer to keeping the money is in the books that you're avoiding, the books that you delegated, the books you don't want to look at, the books that scare you. Yeah. Like that is the key to your financial freedom. So I'm just trying to make it not so scary.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it definitely is something that is a big, kind of something looming over your business, especially if you don't understand it. It's hard to kind of face it head on. And for those who don't know, Meaghan's superpower is getting that fear out of people's finances. And also you can teach people, your claim to fame was that you can teach people how to do their own bookkeeping for under 1 hour per month.
Yeah. Without an accounting degree. Like, because Jeff and I went to so many QuickBooks classes for him to learn. Because I was like, Jeff, you have to figure this out. Like, I'm not in the day-to-day. Like, you have to get a handle on your spending and your inflows and your outflows and your cash flow. So we go all these classes, and they were like teaching him journal entries and like they were teaching him accrual and like debits and credits. And like Jeff is like, I just want to go clean windows. Like, don't make it hard. Like,
I took a financial accounting course in school and university, and I hated it.
It's
like,
awful.
So hard.
It is the worst thing ever. So what we've done is we've just cut out all the bullshit. Excuse me, but we've cut out all the fluff. And I'm like, here's how much you're making. Here's how much you're spending. Here's where you're spending it. And then if I can get you through those 3 parts of your money, then I can actually show you how to keep more of it, right? Like, because now you got over the fear.
Yeah, it's like one step at a time. What do they say? How do you eat an elephant? Like one bite at a time.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what you break it down for us.
The hard part is it starts with a very unsexy task of bookkeeping, which everybody thinks like is the first thing they should delegate. So I was like, well, that's off the table. Like I used to say I won't do books for anybody under $1 million because they should be doing their own. Yeah. Like that's how I started.
So I want to go back to something you mentioned. Like, so walk me through, like, it sounds like you were able to kind of jump in, take Jeff's business. It's a success story clearly now, right?
Well, he did that. I just I coached
him. That's what I want to figure out, right? Like if you're listening, it's like, what was that like? Because it sounds like you went to different courses and stuff like that. It wasn't working out. What did sort of day one look like when you kind of came in and said, okay, let's take a look under the hood, if you will?
Well, I think a lot of it was mental work for him. Like, I think he was telling himself this story that like he wasn't smart enough, like, right? And he was really bad at math. He is still really bad at math. Like back in the day, he would do like the handwritten invoices, and he would accidentally give a 90% discount instead of a 10% discount.
It can happen.
And he couldn't like smell test that like that was too little money. Yeah. So like I think in the beginning, it was all just about like what is the right amount of money, like. How does that feel? And a lot of that went back to a language that he knows. So I know I talk about my window cleaning company a lot because I just feel like it's an easy business model. Yeah. But like Jeff had a general idea of like how long a window cleaning job should take. And so I just had to teach him like, okay, so how much is our time worth? And like, okay, so I look at a house and it's going to take me 4 hours, and I believe that I need to make like $100 an hour. So this job needs to be at least $400. Right. And so those basic little wins of like, what do you already know, business owner? Like most of us know how long something should take. And then we have to work backwards. Okay, so how much do we charge for it? Mm-hmm. And I feel like the biggest key to success is like charging the right amount. And like, okay, so how much is our time worth? And then we have to work backwards. Okay, so how much do we charge for it? And I feel like the biggest key to success is like charging the right amount. And And people have to get over the hurdles of like not being worthy or not being good at math, or like most of us, we price based on our competition. But in the US, 75% of businesses fail. So you're pricing based on somebody that's probably going bankrupt and you don't even know it, but you've called your company and you're like, that's how much I should charge. I'm like, no, actually, can we just sit down and do a 1 hour math exercise and I will tell you exactly how much you should charge for your family, for your business, for your specific situation, because that's all that matters.
That's a very good point, because I feel like a lot of times that's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to look at the market and see what other people are doing and then see what's feasible for you. But that's so true.
They're
like
going bankrupt.
75%, we're the blind leading the blind. We're all supposed to just be going down at once.
And it's never really thought about like in the beginning, right? You start a business, you just dive into the business, you're in the weeds, you're like doing the job, and then
you're
like
so
accounting
excited.
is like, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Right.
And then you don't realize like what's happening.
I'll figure out pricing later. I'm like, no, can we start with like, how much does your family, so like I'm giving a budget class here at the huge convention. And the first exercise, it's going to be so fun. I wish like next year come to the huge convention. There's going to be like $2,000 running around in $1 bills in the room with props. And I'm basically going to show them like how much money we actually lose as business owners. And there's technicians in there. And like one of the parts of the exercise is I have the technician, the owner hold up their money at the end of the job. And the technician always makes more. And like, if we could just get ahead of that in the beginning and just normalize that, like, this is going to be hard.
Right.
This is going to take a little bit of work. And the worst part to me is every business owner I meet is willing to work hard. They all work their butts off.
Yeah.
But they won't do the hard thing of the math.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid, because it's scary, because they're not good at it, because they're not smart enough. Like, no, all of that's wrong.
Yeah.
I want to fix that.
I think sometimes if it gets kind of like put on the back burner for too long, it becomes this kind of big giant. So what is your advice to someone who maybe it's like, okay, I'll get to it. Now all of a sudden it's maybe a really big task. What's the first step they should take to...
So this is a super timely question, because right before I joined you in this podcast, I'm giving away a free 15 minutes with me this whole week, kind of like you guys are. And I have cute chairs, so come get a coffee later. And if you're listening, I'm sorry, like next trade show. But this guy came in and he's green and he's feeling so bad. And he's like, no, I have some confessions I have to make. And like the confessions were that he was behind on his taxes. And I was like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I used to be a tax accountant. Like, I'm very used to this. Like, you're in good company. Like, let's just get started. And he's like, I don't know where to start. And I was like, the place that I start when somebody thinks it's too big or they're too far behind is exactly where you are. So it's like, just tell me where you are.
Yeah.
When was the last time you filed a tax return? Right? And we just wrote it down. And I was like, okay. And what's the status of your company? Like, is it canceled? Is it okay? And what do we have available to us between then and now? And I took notes. That's all I did. And his shoulders, like by the end of that 30 minutes, were sitting like 6 inches lower, because now it's not scary. Like now it's written down and now it is like in front of us. Like it's like a problem that we can solve, because as entrepreneurs, we're so good at solving problems.
I think it's also like the fear of like, not fear, but it's like overcoming the concept of like, I don't got this. I think I got it, but I don't have it. And being okay with the fact that you don't have it up front. Like the sooner you get to that stage and you're saying, okay, maybe I need help. Maybe I need to talk to somebody. I think it's going to be a lot better for that business in the long run, right? But I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they might not want to confess to that.
What I've learned is like it's themselves. Like there's so much shame and like guilt, and these trade shows make it worse because there's bravado. Like anybody listening, if you've ever been around somebody else in your industry, nobody's talking about being behind on their taxes. Literally no one. No one's talking about not paying themselves. No one's talking about not being profitable. You know what they're talking about? They're 7-figure businesses. At the trade show we're at right now, if you read all of the topics, I think more than 50% say 7-figure business in them. Here's a fun fact. Jeff Likes Clean Windows didn't do 7 figures. Jeff never wanted to do 7 figures. It wasn't until Jeff retired that we did 7 figures, because for him, that was revenue was not the point. It was a lifestyle business. He had a certain dollar amount he wanted to make. We travel 30 weeks a year. Like Jeff retired at the age of 39.
That's amazing.
For him, that's what he wanted. So like, I feel like with the business owners, don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. Like you are probably like, your colleagues are also going bankrupt. So like, don't buy into the bravado and just be real with yourself. Like if this is stressing you out, make the scary phone call and sit with somebody who will help you make it not stressful. And usually the first step is like, let's do some, how bad is it?
Yeah. When someone's coming to you, or people are coming to you, what are the top 3 mistakes that you see businesses making when it comes to, their accounting and keeping track of their books?
Okay, the first one, and maybe if you're an advanced listener, this doesn't apply to you, but if you're not, this is your reminder, is they get business and personal confused. Yeah. So like they run a lot of personal stuff through the business.
Right.
And they dip into the business as like a piggy bank, and they kind of treat it as like when business is good, we're eating good, and when business is bad, we're not eating bad.
Right.
So first I always say like separate the business and personal and put your family on a budget, and the business pays the family budget. That would be like number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, I would say is not looking at it. So like a lot of people think that bookkeeping is just an activity we do for taxes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fine. You can call it whatever you want, but I want them to look at their money every week. So like, how much did I make last week? How much am I going to make this week? How much do I need to make next week? Like that regular cadence of looking at our money can really change things. And the third thing I'd say is like, do a budget. Like, budgets are less sexy than bookkeeping. If you could see my face right now, listeners, I like just cringed when I said it. But like nobody wants to do the budget. But the budget to me is like the best part of the business because it's monopoly money. Yeah. Like it's a play thing. Like you can budget in. We're doing like a business trip next year to Dominican Republic. Or you can budget in new laptops for your whole team. Or you can budget in, we have in our 2024 budget 6 new electric vehicles. Or you can budget in a building. Like budgets can actually be super fun because they give you permission to spend money. Yeah. But for some reason, I'd say like 99% of businesses operate with no budget. And I'm like, well, now you're just playing darts. Like now you're just guessing. Like you've got your eyes closed and you're like, I think I'm going to make $1 million this year. And guess what? It's going to be luck if you hit the $1 million mark doing it that way. Like it's going to be luck.
100%.
I like that view of looking at budgets. This is kind of like things that you get to do. Like put in some things that, you wanted to, that's feasible. Don't over budget.
Yeah. We call it a budget party and we say bring snacks. Nice. And we say bring whatever beverage makes you happy. Like this, we're going to make this not as boring as it sounds.
Bring puppies.
Yeah, we literally, puppies are great. Props, good. Cash, good. I will bribe people to come to budget parties.
I like the cash thing. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you. So like when you're as a home service business owner, what are the things that like we should be tracking on a regular basis? So that when you come to budgeting, when you come to setting things up, like you know what I mean. For example, like things like expenses or how much I charge per job. Like what are things that as a business owner I should be thinking about all the time?
These are hard questions. Usually I'm used to softball questions. This is hard. Okay, well, I feel like revenue is the easiest one to track because everybody's already thinking and talking about it.
Right.
So I just say I want you to benchmark revenue above break-even point.
Okay.
And I'd say like 90% of businesses don't know what their break-even point is. So like if you're trying to shoot a revenue goal, but you're losing money every week, like your revenue goes too low, right? So I feel like revenue is a great one, but benchmarked against break-even. So you can actually make sure you're profitable. And then I think cash. So most people have a very good handle on the cash they have on hand. I need them to shift. And it's so funny. In a client meeting, it's one question. I'm like, yeah, but how much cash do you need next week? Nobody thinks about it that way. They're like, well, I don't know. It's not next week yet. And I'm like, okay, so if we could tie like how much money am I going to make next week to how much money do I need next week? Then we really start getting like some traction, right? So I like to think about your revenue, your break-even point, and then your cash.
That's a really good point. Especially if you want to become profitable fast, right?
I can make you double-digit net profit in less than 30 days.
There you go, guys.
But you just have to be really brave. And you got to do some big girl, big boy things like raise your prices and charge what you're worth and like stick to a budget. But like it's just like losing weight. We all know what we need to do to lose weight, and yet we don't. Exercise, drink water, eat right.
Right.
Okay. Profitability is the same.
Yeah. So what are some tangible tips that people can do to manage their cash flow effectively?
Look at it.
Like,
just write it down. So like Jeff, when he was in the business, I made him do all of his own books, guys. Like there was no help from Likes Accounting. There was no Meaghan doing bookkeeping. Like, and I made him have a financial meeting every week where I made him look at it and I made him manage his own cash flow. And honestly, he says that's the reason he retired because he never liked it. He always hated it. Like he never got to the point of like liking it. But I made him do it. So he used to manage his cash flow on a calendar. And so he would draw out a whiteboard calendar every month. It was a 5-week long calendar. And he had little magnets that were his bills. And on the magnet was the name of the bill and the date of the month it was due. And then he would write in the dollar amount. Okay. And so he could like actually like I'm a spreadsheet girl. I could spreadsheet the hell out of anything. But Jeff was not a spreadsheet guy. So he made a pretty calendar and it helped him figure out his cash flow so that he could predict it. So that he could predict it into the future. Like how much cash do I need this month? And then he could go build a plan. Okay, how much revenue do I need this month? And then he could go figure out, okay, how much am I going to save this month? So I feel like the easiest way is just find a way that you can get brave and say, like, how much cash do I need next week?
Yeah.
Write it down and then do that over and over again.
I really love that example because it also shows the different types or different kinds of ways that you can do this. I think sometimes what may be hindering some people, like at least what hindered me was just I'm not necessarily a spreadsheets type of girl. So it's like seeing it all, just all the numbers, it's just like intimidating. But the visual of like having the magnets would have helped me because it's like, okay, now I can see this in a different way. I need things to be fun. I need things to be visually appealing. Yep. So it's like you can choose how you look at your own finances.
I have clients that use like Google Calendar and they just have a Google Calendar that says cash flow and their bills are recurring events and then they just manually add up. Like there's every Sunday like cash beginning balance and every Saturday like cash ending balance and then like they have their little savings number and then they just do it that way. So you asked earlier, like just wherever you are, but like you have to start. And we can make a lot of excuses because the reality is your business needs you. You're working a million hours. There's a lot of other things you're better at or you like more. But this is like the secret sauce. This is the thing that people won't do.
What about when it comes to like taxes specifically? Like what are like, some simple tips when it comes to managing cash flow that can actually help from a tax perspective?
So that's when I would say don't wait. Like just don't wait. Because like if I'm successful with you listening to this podcast, you're going to be more profitable like tomorrow because you're going to actually figure out your break-even point and your cash flow. But here's the really crappy part about when you're profitable as then the tax man comes calling or woman, it's a man. Let's be real. The tax man is going to be calling.
That one is
the government's coming.
The government's going to come. And so what's worked really well for us is Profit First. It's a book by Mike McAllowitz. And Mike talks about like, as we make money, we should be saving money. And it was a really effective system for Jeff and I to just not stress about taxes anymore. So every time we make $1, we put 15% into a tax savings account that's earmarked only for taxes. And that just took the mental like energy of having to save or having enough to save or remembering to save. And we just made it a cash flow habit. It's a really great system for, I'd say, most business owners that struggle with spending. And all of us do because like Jeff, like back in the day when I would pay the bills and he would make the money, like in the very beginning, he would like resent me because he's like, well, you're just spending all my hard-earned money on stupid stuff like taxes and insurance and payroll and like, and then he'd be like, but I really want like a new pressure washer so I can go make more money, or like, I really need a new truck. And I'm like, well, sorry, there's none left. Like, so that's why I had to stop helping him because it was just, the person that makes the money is also the one that should spend the money. They're related. Or at least monitors the spending.
Because it also, I mean, a lot of times you think of like you said, a new pressure washer, a new truck, or whatever it is. You think of it as spending money on the business, but it's hindering your ability to manage your cash flow for tax purposes or for other reasons, like paying your employees or whatever it is. So it's kind of a tough balance because sometimes entrepreneurs want to just keep spending because it's like the money's going into the business. It's going to help me grow.
I'm investing. I'm investing myself. I'll pay myself later. At Likes Accounting, we have a couple of principles to be able to be a client with us. And like one of the principles is you have to be double-digit net profit because I don't believe in this fallacy that we're going to wait till later. Today we got to hear from Tommy Mello here at the convention, and he's going to do $200 million this year, and he's running at 28% net. 28% net profit, and he's growing at a very fast growth rate. And he still demands maintaining a bottom line. Like there's no waiting for next time.
Yeah.
Another principle of people I work with is you have to work on a budget, because the only way I can preserve your bottom line is by holding you accountable to a budget. Like, it's your goal, it's your dream, but we've got to do that, right? And so I feel like if we could just, be disciplined, if we could just like look at it, then what Mike McCallett says in Profit First is like that new truck or that new pressure washer, you just tell yourself maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow. And you put in the budget for next month or next quarter and you plan for it. But like, there should be very little, like in our window cleaning company, our emergency spending is $250 a week. Every dollar is earmarked, even at 7 figures plus, except for $250 a week. Could you imagine? Anything that's not on the board before Monday has to wait till the following week.
That's amazing.
And sometimes it might wait till the following month. But like, I say it's just lazy if you're not controlling your spending. Like, I tell my money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Oh,
right?
I like that.
I needed to hear that. I was like, oh, you came for me today, because that's so true. Like,
you tell it where to go. You tell it where to go.
100%.
I want you to go here. And I'm all for the new truck. I'm all for the new pressure washer.
That's right.
Just make sure it's in the plan and make sure there's still money left over.
Yeah.
I love that.
Which one comes? I feel like it's like a chicken and the egg situation. What if I've already been operating without a budget? Do I now track what I've already been spending?
You start today and you go forward.
Okay.
Because you'll never go backwards.
Don't go back.
People who are like, I don't have books. And I'm like, okay, we're going to start today and we're going to go forward. And they're like, no, I want to go back to the first year. I'm like, we can later. When you tell me you got a bunch of free time and you're saving extra cash, you still care.
Okay.
Start where you are today and go forward.
100%.
And your first budget's going to be wrong. You're going to get it wrong. You're going to be super optimistic and like rosy colored glasses.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So I was going to say, how do you even know how to budget if I'm not looking at what I've already been doing?
You know, right? You know what your rent is. You know how much you're paying your people. You know, like what your normal spending is. You know how much you should be spending on groceries. Like Jeff and I, we actually, this is kind of, I've never admitted this on a podcast, but we have been on a really strict budget because I've been shifting from business travel to personal travel. Yeah. And we have some we're taking 2 months off this year internationally. So we took a month off in Spain and we're going to Argentina for a month. Nice. And then we're now planning a month just 2 months later in Asia. And the weeks in between those 2 months are all fun weeks, like Dominican Republic, Phoenix and Florida. So I was like, Jeff, we got to get a handle on our regular normal spending because this personal spending is really expensive. So we give ourselves an allowance every week. We have a family meeting. We give ourselves an allowance and it's on Apple Cash. And that is the only money we're allowed to spend for discretionary spending. And it is life-changing.
Interesting.
And we decide, the dog has to go groomer this week, so that's part of this week's allowance. I need a haircut this week. I need to get my eyelashes done. We talk through all of that as a family on Sunday. Yeah. We allocate the allowance. And then we don't talk about money again until the next Sunday. And it's so fun on Saturday. I'll be like, hey, can you buy this next round? How much do you have left? How much do you have left? And we're Apple paying each other cash. And our friends are all like, are you guys okay? Are you struggling financially?
Right.
No, actually, we're just trying to be adults.
Yeah, you're doing this so that you don't struggle financially.
Yeah, well, also because I want to spend my whole life on vacation at 5-star resorts, and that costs money.
I think you mentioned something that's very important is that it doesn't end. It's not like you become cash flow positive as a business and then it's just all right, I don't need to manage, I'm good.
Yeah, I never have to do a budget again. I'm good. I don't have to look at my bank accounts anymore. I'm good.
It's just got to become a habit. It never ends, right?
I coach CAOs that do 10 million plus. So most of the people that I coach are in the 10 to 50 million range. And I still meet one-on-one with that owner. There's no delegating the money. Yeah. Even at that level. Tommy Mello still can tell you exactly how much money he made yesterday. There's no delegating this part because literally nobody's going to care about your money like you do.
Right.
That's right.
And you can have amazing leaders around you. I have people that help me with cash flow at Likes Accounting. I have people that help me with lots of different things, but I'm in charge of the money still.
100%.
Okay, we're coming up on the end there. So I just have one last question. So what is your approach to helping? You kind of answered this a little bit already, but helping business owners who are feeling overwhelmed by their finances in general.
We make it easy.
Yeah.
So if you become a Likes Accounting client, that onboarding meeting, our clients immediate have relief. That first meeting, they have passed every key to the castle and we have a clear map to how they're going to get to know their numbers. And we're like, okay, so we're going to meet again in 2 weeks and we're going to do your budget.
Yeah.
And this is a business owner who's like, and like, you don't know how many people are like, no, I don't need that. No, I don't want to do that. We're like, no, remember the contract you signed? You said you would have a budget. You agreed to work with us. You'd have a budget. So your budget meeting is coming up in 2 weeks. Plan accordingly. You get one miss and then we're going to fire you as a client. Like
they play hardball.
Good. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we hold them accountable. And so I feel like just finding somebody that speaks your language, like it doesn't need to be me. Like I don't speak the same language as every business owner. I joke with my assistant all the time. I'm like, I think I was speaking Russian. They were speaking Greek. Like you need somebody that cares about your business, about you as a person, and that you can understand. If your accountant is talking over your head, it is the wrong accountant. If your accountant is not talking to you about your plans for your business and about your money, it is the wrong accountant, right? Like if your team is not wanting to sit through a budget meeting, then it's the wrong team, right? Like we have to just get over the hard part, find somebody to help us get over the hard part. And then like, you may never love it, but you will learn that life is so much more peaceful when you get a handle on the money, right? 100%. When you get a handle on like the spending.
I love it. I love it. Meaghan, where can everyone find you?
I have an online brand. Her name is Meaghan Likes Money because I do like money. That's the easiest way to find me. I also love hanging out with the Nice Job folks. A little shout out. We use Nice Job for Likes Accounting and Jeff Likes Cleaning. So thanks so much for helping us be like the #1 rated. You can go check out our reviews online. And we've integrated a Nice Job with QuickBooks Online. So it makes it super easy to automate those review requests. And I spend most of my social media life on Facebook. I know I just dated myself, but that's probably the easiest place to follow and engage with me. And then probably at your local trade show or conference. I do like about 20 of them a year. So if you ever see my name on a speaking list, come hear me and hopefully I can resonate with you and take away some of that fear. Because you're in good company, you're not alone. It's scary, but we're gonna break that down with you and start where you are.
That's great.
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. It was super fun.
That was great.
All right.
Thanks, Meaghan.
Amazing.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Built by Me podcast.
As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram at Built by Me Podcast.
Until next time,
keep building.